So they said to us, you are going to make a doll. Yeah? And I was like... So we had to like draw a template and then cut out the template and then use the template to cut fabric for the two sides of the doll and then sew that together and stuff that with like foamy stuff which represented various things. And then after that we could decorate, dress, kind of go wild. And they provided us with a whole range of materials to contribute to putting this gendered being together.
The doll exercise enabled participants to really recreate their being. It's a process of divine co-creation with the divine or with God, and a reimagining of who you can be and the claiming back of who you are. One of the challenges is that you are supposed to share with a conversation partner. And those questions can trigger so much of the woundedness and pain of the past. Because very often we are not socialized or taught to bear our emotions. I looked around the room and there's a lot of masculine bodies who are very much centered in patriarchy and how they struggle to then tap into this side of them, to give themselves permission to cut, design, sew together, stuff, decorate, dress this being.
The beginning was not easy. My co-partner helped me to begin. Within that confusion, some light comes through. And it took me to the psalm that we had in the morning, knit me together in my mother's womb. And as I was working on the doll, it brought me the image of how God put us together. Because we had to do it the whole day, it was good to see the end result. Just to be patient, to say, yes, something beautiful will happen, and letting that come out, really.
There's something about the time that has to go into this process. Because I've done this kind of exercise before using Play-Doh, but it's much quicker. And so I think there's really something about that, like carefully stitching it together, that's valuable.
The gendered being exercise is unique because it gives space to individuals to speak about their experiences in a different way. It was not prescribed. It was so open. Rather than using language, it invites an individual to go back to their memory through art.
I have many stories about the African traditional woman, and it took me a lot of time thinking about all the things and how I can put it on the door. So I think I was the last person to finish. Usually when I think of a woman, the first person who comes into my mind is my mother. Grew up at a polygamous family, got married earlier as a very young teenager because of some reasons. And after that, she was widowed at 35, already a mother of 7. So I perceived all the struggles to put it all on that door. The dressing part of it, like you can see, there's religious culture where they are not allowed to expose any part of the body just because like they were trying to keep them clean and away from any form of promiscuous behavior. So she lived and grew up in a very abusive type of culture. So I would clothe it under a throb, a big garment. Only the eyes would be exposed, the whole body concealed. As I was seeing other people's portraits, they were big, they were decorated, and I told myself there's nothing I should decorate here. My door was tiny, has to be like she grew up all poverty and malnutrition. It's like, this should be the thing that I'm putting on my doorpost. This is reality.
My academic work connected me to the area of reproductive justice, thinking of the issues around infertility. So for me, this exercise was about to think what defines a woman in my context. So I didn't think twice to make a fetus. It's a marker of a woman, of a complete woman, a real woman in an African society. Stuffing it with a representative of the words that I hear every day about infertility, about womb removal, about being a woman, pain, obviously shame, which comes from yourself as a woman, because you have been socialized that being a woman is having a womb, having children. What am I before God? All those words. But after all, I'd say my last stuffing was words of affirmation.
The doll reminds me of the goodness that God intended about me. I named my doll Prince Nambili, the Prince of Peace. The pink is that bringing together the differences that we are, that personhood that is so special about each one of us. Not focusing just on the doll, but relating as we were sharing the stories, who we are. So there was that relationship in the process, being equipped with the skills to understand the other was really something that I got here.
At first, it was difficult, that I felt like I cannot summarize it all on a little doll, but at last, like you gave us chance to speak to a partner, and I felt like I was relieved. It was so nice to me to learn about the diversity and also to be given free space. I'm not like being directed, do this and this is only the way that is superior. And I also have chance to tolerate others, other genders as they come in and accept that.
One of the gifts has been that I've actually had a chance to engage with my own story. I built the doll and I'm not very good at practical things, but I did it. And then I was putting clothes on. And I was stressing about how these clothes were going to look. And whether like I was going to be like high fashion enough and about the kind of practical thing of making them fit properly. And I actually wasn't really understanding for myself why I was so stressing about that. And so I made a doll which had on the one half a kind of long flowy kimono and on the other half pants and a top, because I wanted to represent something about how I think I feel in the world, which is kind of not properly female but also not male. And then when I started to talk about the doll, that was such a weird moment, because they said to us, name the doll. And I didn't have a name. But as I explained that I didn't have a name, I realized that I also didn't have a gender for that doll. And that was not in my head beforehand. Just came out of my mouth in that moment. And I think for me it links to the conversations that we were having while we were doing this exercise, about how we had both grown up being female-bodied but not being properly female. I mean, maybe I'm actually non-binary. Like, you know, this is not the first time this thought has come to my mind, but we'll see, because the process continues.
For me, it was really about finding that gentle balance between the feminine and the masculine, and stuffing my being with hope and resilience and an abundance of grace, and really embracing the femininity that sometimes is frowned upon in a masculine body. In my friendship circle, I'm called Marlena at times because there's a time at every party around about 10 o'clock where I will look for heels. And I will go around looking for a size 6 stilettos, and then I just dance as if nobody is watching. And it's my gift to me. And so Marlena then encapsulates all that I want to be in that moment of pure joy. The conclusion of this process, when we come back and we center ourselves in the circle and share the being with each other, brings closure. And also to look at the persons around you, what they are doing, and steal some ideas. Oh wow, I didn't even think of doing this with my doll. I'm going to incorporate beads, or, the feathers is not a feather duster to clean homes, It's really about fabulosity. And that's what Marlena represents to me, a sense of fabulosity.